Most people would probably start this video saying something like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm not most people and I follow my intuition and something is telling me that you need to hear exactly what I'm about to say. And that is that growing up poor or in poverty as a child has most likely landed you with one of two different types of personalities. You have either grown up to be frugal, aka tight with your coins and pinching your pennies, or you have grown up to be delusional and not in a good way. Either way, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to be your virtual accountability partner and to let you know that you're not alone. A lot of us have grown up in the same type of environment and it's forced us to almost live identical lives. So sit with me for a few minutes while we do a little bit of self-discovery and unpacking just a little bit of those generational traumas. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're not to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tyanne, but hopefully by the end of this video, you're gonna wanna stick around. And if you do, then you could call me Taj. So with that being said, let it be clear, I am not here to give you advice regardless of which type of personality you have grown into. I am just here to help you be a little bit more self-aware. As a self-healing millennial, I have found that on my healing journey, I have kind of made the most progress when I really just sit with myself and ask myself the hard, uncomfortable questions. And when I really do a lot of soul searching and self-discovery. So I'm here today to do a little bit of that with you. I was recently listening to a podcast and they were talking about pretty much how growing up poor kind of affects your mental and how it kind of nurtures you into contributing to capitalism and over consumerism, right? And it really got me thinking, when you grow up poor and when you grow up in poverty and in inner cities, you really have a completely different upbringing. And for a lot of us, I don't even think that we realize the effect that that has on us well into our adulthood. Like I said earlier, growing up poor either made you frugal or delusional. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about both. If you grew up poor and now you're making a good bit of money or a decent amount, or you're comfortable with the amount of money you're making, you may be the type of person that feels like you have to hoard your money because I know what it's like to not have anything. And I promised myself I would never go back there. And that's valid, right? But at the same time, are you also depriving yourself of enjoyment, of living the life that you deserve and are working so hard for because you're trying so hard not to go back to where you came from? And I think it's important to note that in my opinion, being poor is really a mindset more than it has anything to do with the numbers in your bank account. And when I say that it's a mindset, it's really a scarcity mindset, meaning all of my resources are limited. I have to figure out a way to make them stretch, and I don't know when I'll get more. And I'm kind of just working with the hand that I was dealt until I get to my next piece. And you're constantly putting one foot in front of the other, but you can never really look to see where you're going because you have to keep looking down to make sure that you don't miss a step, because one misstep and that's it, it all comes crumbling. And because of that, the first chance that you get, meaning the first good job that you get, the first financial abundance that you come into, you hoard it. And you're like, I have to just look at it in the bank. I can't spend it because a rainy day could come, which is very well true. But if to a certain extent you're living every day like if a rainy day could come, are you really enjoying the sunshine? Are you really enjoying the good days? Or are you just wasting them waiting for it to rain? I also think it's really important to note that scientifically, we should know that trauma is stored in our bodies. When you grew up seeing your parents or your caretakers struggle to kind of make ends meet, you could tell. You could tell in their body language, you could tell in how high their shoulders were, that they were just stressed. And a lot of our parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts, they lived that life where they were just constantly trying to make it to the next day. They were constantly trying to make ends meet. And it showed in their health. Stress literally kills. And for some reason, in our day-to-day life, we seem to forget that when we let these things stress us out. Now, don't get me wrong. Not knowing where your next meal is coming from is definitely stressful. And we can agree that in that moment, putting food on the table is way more important than what the stress is doing to your body. But I think it's important to note that as brown and black people specifically, that type of trauma that is stored in our body is not even that of our own. It stems way back, generations of trauma just being built up inside you from never having enough, but always doing more than enough, but somehow still falling short. So when you, the person that is breaking the generational curse and goes to school and graduates and gets that good job, you look at that number in your bank account bi-weekly or weekly or monthly or however often you get paid, and you just think to yourself, I can never let this go. I never want to feel how my mom and dad felt. I never want to feel what my grandparents felt. And I have to do so much so that I can make sure that I'm good, so that I can make sure that everybody else is good. That is a burden that is way too heavy for one person to carry. So I just want to bring to your attention, if you are that frugal person, if you're that person that holds on to every dollar because you never want to go back to not having it, understand that that's a trauma that you're holding on to that may not even be yours. On the other hand, if you've grown up to be the person that's delusional, and respectfully, not in a good way, you could be the type of person that you have grown up without money. So the fear of not having money doesn't affect you because you've lived through it. You've done it once before. You could do it again. I've been broke. I could do it again. That's kind of the mindset that you live in. And we all know it's okay to be delusional about things like your goals and your aspirations and your dreams, but it's not okay to be delusional about that number in your bank account, because at the end of the day, overdraft fees are real, and you most certainly can have a negative balance. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Again, I am not judging you if you are that person. I think to a certain extent, everyone has been on either side of the fence. You could have came into a large sum of money and you fumbled it. You blew it on things in the name of I deserve, right? We hear that a lot. I deserve good things. I deserve it. I work hard, and you absolutely do. But if every time you get paid, you feel like you deserve something that you could not afford had it not been payday, now that's when we gotta take a step back and reevaluate. Am I just spending my money because I never had it before? And I am a little self-conscious about being honest with the fact that I don't know what to do with it because I've never had it. And I think there comes a certain vulnerability that needs to come with leveling up financially that nobody really talks about. Because once you start making money when you haven't come from money, you don't know what to do with it. And that's okay. But what's not okay is being so scared to say that you don't seek help. And you just tell yourself that I'm gonna buy whatever I want. Because what if a rainy day comes and you've already spent money before you made it, so you can't even afford for it to rain? You feel me? If you grew up to be the delusional person, you're probably one of those people that think that Afterpay and Klarna are your absolute best friends. And don't get me wrong, for a special occasion, it's really the modern day layaway, except you get to take the item, right? And we've all been there. But if you are buying everything on Afterpay and Klarna, you have to ask yourself, why am I constantly buying things that realistically I can't afford? And I want to make it very clear, I am very well reading the room and understanding that the financial times and crisis that we are currently living in is one that none of us, our parents, our grandparents, have ever really seen before. So I get it. But at the same time, you have to be honest with yourself and ask that real cliche question. Can I afford to buy it twice? Because if I can't afford to buy it twice, I probably can't afford to buy it once. And the most important question, is this a want or is this a need? Because we're in time where right now, financially responsible thing to do be to focus on your needs and to make sure that your needs are met for at least this month and next month. And if they are, and you still got a little money left over, oh baby, ball out. You got it. You deserve, but your needs are taken care of first. And again, I cannot stress this enough. I am not here to judge you regardless of which category you fall into, because I myself have fallen into both of these categories. And I think the sweet spot where we need to be is right down the middle. You need to be frugal enough with your money to where you're budgeting and saving, or at least trying to learn to do so, but you're also not being delusional and spending it all. But you're also kind of treating yourself and making sure that you reward yourself for being the person that is breaking the generational curses, for being the person that can even afford the things that you've dreamt so long about. I think we as millennials are not honest with ourselves about the poverty to hoarding pipeline. Right? And that takes me back to how I started, where that podcast was talking about how growing up without so much has an effect and kind of almost like a trauma response to make you overconsume and to make you think that you need more than you actually do. Like, honestly, if you had to give it all up, all of the clothes in your closet, everything in your room that you're watching this in right now, could you do it and be okay and live with the bare minimum? Your answer most likely, like most of ours, is no. But then you have to ask yourself, why are you so attached to these things? And if you're somebody that grew up without a lot of things, there goes your answer. So I think it's important that as we grow and as we heal and as we become more self-aware as a collective, that we understand where our current actions and reactions, where they stem from. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Because if we are going to break these generational curses, we got to start at the root. And we surely can't go back in time and change our living circumstances or our financial stances as we were children. But what we can do is make sure that those traumas are not the reason that we're making the decisions that we're making today. And if they are, that we're using what we know to be true about our past to make sure that we have a bright future. If this video resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, then you would love my podcast, The Melanated Mindset, where I go a lot more in depth about these type of topics and kind of just picking apart the lessons that I've learned in my personal life and how I'm using them to heal and to grow and to become the woman of my dreams ultimately, because I know that I could do it, just like I know that you could do it. So if you like the vibes here, you know where to find me. And until then, I'll see you, because I hope you'll come back in my next video. Peace and welcome to the tribe.